Welcome back to another episode of the K-Swap 240. We have our K-Miata manifold. That means it's time to install it and head to the dyno. If you remember in the last episode, FedEx had lost our package that contained this. And the FedEx gods smiled upon us and said, your package will be found and you will have your K-Miata intake manifold. It's worth mentioning that this is one of the, I think, only manifolds specifically designed to fit rear-wheel drive K applications. There is the Skunk 2 manifold, but that is a front-wheel drive application that people are just like flipping the plenum on, and it's extremely expensive. K-Miata sells this for $535, so this is a bargain, and it comes with a lot of performance advantages over our S2000 manifold. As you can see, the runners, that's a big first thing that you'll notice, are much greater, larger, so they're gonna have larger volume, and the plenum itself is bigger. And also this makes for such an easier install. When we were pulling this, we were looking at it, we had to get all those adapters, like take care of the coolant line in the rear, where this is going to be a very, very simple install. So let's get to it. I should note right now, K-Miata is sold out of these things. These things are moving like hotcakes. David did tell us that he's got a big batch coming in August. So if you're looking to buy one of these, hang tight and it will be available pretty soon. I've hooked up the accessories that come with this manifold, and that's just like this coolant pipe right here, a couple of vacuum lines, and you're gonna have to supply your own idle air control valve. We bought a new one. This is for, I think, K-Miata wants us to use like an 03 to 05 Accord or Element idle air control valve. I'm pretty sure that's the one. And then of course they have the bracket here for the throttle cable. I don't know if this is going to work for us, obviously, because this is meant to go into a Miata, but we'll see. I'm sure we'll be able to figure something out with that. And they do supply an OEM gasket. They don't really recommend using those thermal gaskets, I think, or what are they called? The thermal insulator gaskets. So we're gonna put this on OEM Honda quality here and then bolt this whole thing up. And wow, it just feels so much easier than all those adapters that we had to do on the S2000 manifold. K-Miata manifold bolted up, and man, does it look nice in this spot. And I really like a lot of the design work that was done with this. As you can see, the throttle body intake right here is going to clear all of the accessory and idler pulleys, which is nice. Speaking of which, we went to K-Tuned, got their 74 millimeter throttle body. This is like a BF series and I think an H series compatible throttle body. I really like the K-Tuned stuff because their throttle bodies, unlike other ones, they don't stick. They're just nice and soft, and I find they're kind of the best in the business. And as you can see, this will bolt up, this will bolt up as such like this, giving us tons of clearance here, where the S2000 manifold, we had to add those phenolic thermal spacers to move it out actually to get this to clear. And just like that, K-Tuned throttle body bolted in place. Now it's on to the throttle cable. I've already hooked it up here. And if you guys recall, on our S2000 throttle body, we had to weld a SR throttle cam onto there because the ratio was off. Thankfully, K-Miata has an adjustable plate here that we can move around and kind of dial this in, and the K-Tuned cam itself can also be rotated, so we have lots of options. We're going to be able to make this work.
For fuel rail, we are swapping in this K-Tuned billet aluminum unit. And if you're wondering why, well, the rail that we had on the old manifold was for an S2000, and it won't fit up to this rail. This one will fit up. This is a K-series rail for a K-series style manifold. As you can see, it's got these big -8 ports on either end, as well as this central bottom port. So it gives you a lot of flexibility about how you set this up. You could use this as a return and use either end or even both ends for feed if you're moving a lot of fuel. Apparently it'll support up to 1,000 wheel horsepower, which we're not going to need, but this will bolt right to that manifold, and it's compatible with stock injectors or aftermarket injectors. And for injectors, we are going to throw in these RDX injectors, a very popular, I believe they're 440cc injector option for, you know, naturally aspirated motors like this. We sourced these from JDM Addiction, which is a local shop in the Toronto area who stocks a ton of really cool JDM stuff, as well as some OEM parts like this as well. So He's really big in the Honda scene, but he's got tons of cool JDM stuff. So check him out on Facebook. I don't think he has a website, but if you just jump on Facebook and look up JDM Addiction, you'll be blown away about the stuff that he stocks there. It's a really cool shop. So let's throw this on the car, Pete, and we will have a little bit of wiring to do at the end. As you can see, we've got the K-Tune rail in place here with the RD injectors. Everything bolts down just as you would expect. We did have to scavenge up some of these little plastic spacers for the rail, which are part of the stock fuel rail system. Luckily, we had that K20 kicking around from that RSX that we parted out, so that's all in place. Fuel line is hooked up, and Pete swapped over this stack fuel pressure sending unit, which goes right to his fancy stack dash in there, so that even fits up nicely. As I mentioned, we do have this one job to handle, and that is the injector clips here. We had IDs on this before, so these clips are for the IDs, and we are going back to Honda style clips. So K-Tune supplies these Honda style clips that we've got to swap on here, and then we'll be able to plug them in and we'll be good to go.
So the injectors turned out to be a little bit more work than I expected. We just thought we'd pull them off and then plug them in. Unfortunately, the pins were for the IDs, so I had to scrounge up an RSX harness, cut those off, and now hook them up to make sure that we can get these RDX plugs on. So there was a bit of a rush right now to get everything connected and hooked up. Check this out. Thankfully, the intake fit right up. I had concerns that we may have to shorten this, but it turns out we don't. So everything is kind of temporarily together right now, and that is because we've got Nick here from Tuning by Nick, who's going to help us fire this thing up and see if it runs properly, if we did the cams right, and then just dial in the injectors, because there is some scaling that needs to be done here.
Okay, all set up, got the laptop plugged in. Dave,
Yes.
can you put the key to the on position for me?
Yes, I can.
Perfect, so we're gonna download the old map. Download. And we are going to adjust the injectors. So the old injectors were ID 1050s. So the new injectors are technically 410 at this fuel pressure. And Honda's nice enough to give us the injector dead times for RDX injectors.
Oh, nice.
So we can just select those, because the dead times that would have been for the ID 1050s would have been like way off for this setup. So, but that should get us close enough. I'm gonna upload this, and then I'm gonna get Dave to recalibrate, or basically push on the gas pedal so we can calibrate the TPS, because it's been off, and we gotta make sure it's correct. So, car's data logging now. Dave, can you? We're gonna sample throttle. So over here in throttle,
Tell me when.
I'm gonna read at the minimum reading, and then if you can push the gas pedal all the way to the floor.
Okay, under the floor.
Take that sample. So now you can let go.
Yep.
We'll upload that again, and our TPS reading should be good. So 0, and then Dave, can you push the gas pedal down again?
Yep, all the way to the floor.
Perfect, that's good.
There we go.
So,
Dialed in.
Super easy, no messing with the TPS at the throttle body. And we should be good to go to fire it up. So,
Okay.
All right, DP.
do you want to fire it up?
Crank this bad boy up.
Okay, here goes nothing, boys.
Woo! All right, looks like we are good. We've got ourselves a running motor.
Yeah.
So, Nick, we will see you in a couple days at the dyno then.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
What a transformation.
Ooh, it is tidy looking, isn't it? I really like it. It's nice and clean the way you want an NA engine bay to be, and we've routed some hoses and stuff a little bit differently just to tidy it all up to work with this new manifold setup, and excited to see what kind of power we make. I mean, it's not just the manifold either. I've kind of clued into the fact that we've gone to a significantly bigger throttle body too, haven't we? Because that old throttle body was maybe 64 mil, I think.
I think so,
We've
yeah,
got up
yeah.
10 mil there as well. So all in all, I think we're going to pick up some jam, but there's only one way to find out, PT. So let's head to the dyno now. We are back with Nick from Tuning by Nick. We are strapped down to the dyno, and it's prediction time now. Nick, what do you think she's going to do for power?
I think it should make 240.
240, okay. What about you, Peter?
I'm going with $1, Bob. No, I'm going to say
241?
Yeah.
237.
He's always a pessimist.
Yeah.
Well, I could play the Price is Right game and go 236, but I'm going high on this. I'm going to say it's going to make 250 on the
Okay,
nose.
wow.
So let's see who's right here. the tuner's always right, but who knows? Maybe we'll get lucky this time. So where do we start with this?
So it's strapped down. We created the base map last time. We created the base map when I was at your shop last time.
Yep.
And now I'm just gonna work through it. This is a load control dyno, so I use the load control to target certain RPMs.
Okay.
It's gonna target those RPMs, finish creating the base map, and then I will start doing some sweeps and just clean up the tune, and we'll see how it goes.
With a change like this of cams, manifold, valve train, obviously we can probably rev it a little higher than we did before.
Yeah, it should make power all the way to 8, maybe
Right.
more. It all depends how far you guys want to push this
Yeah.
thing. So
These cams typically do make power to around 8K though, don't they?
they should definitely.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how Pete feels about those piston speeds at 8K, but I guess we'll cross that bridge when
We're going to
get there.
8K.
Are we?
Let's send it for
on the
sure.
dyno,
yeah.
maybe we might as well, but in real life we're probably short shifted a little bit. So
Maybe.
we can talk about that afterwards.
Let's see how it goes.
Let's see if we make any holes here. So let's get to it. Well, our predictions were terribly, terribly wrong, everyone, and sadly in the wrong direction. We made a whopping 120 wheel horsepower.
Yeah, something's definitely up.
So we have problems, and Nick just did a quick calibration test on his dyno to make sure it's not the dyno, and everything seemed to check out okay there. So we're at a bit of a loss. I mean, the obvious thing that comes to mind is cam timing, but when we installed the cams, everything seemed to line up properly. So obviously we need to double check that.
Let's do a quick compression test. See what it's at,
Yeah.
and go from there.
Okay, well we'll start there, and after that maybe the valve cover comes off, but we'll see if we can get to the bottom of this now. All right, compression tester's in, let's see what we get. She sounds wheezy.
Yeah, not good. 120.
$120, and it should read 200 to 220 on a healthy K motor, so this is looking like we do have the cams out of timing, doesn't it?
Something's up.
I mean, there's no way we suddenly have lost actual compression in the bottom end since the last time we were here. We change the cams, if they're out of time, then they're not, you know, the valves are in a different position than they should be in. So
Well, we can quickly, let's pull the valve cover and we can confirm that we're out of time.
since I'm the true Honda engine expert here, I have timed this engine with laser-like accuracy, and we do seem to be off a tooth.
It
don't
looks
we?
like it's off about a tooth.
Yeah, so we've used these dowels in the back here with the cams in what should be TDC, and on the crank pulley we look like we're off
Definitely looks like it's off.
a tooth. So
That would explain the loss in compression, the loss in power. So if we can get that sorted out,
yeah,
we should find all our power.
so we're thinking maybe we will move it a tooth up here, hopefully in the right direction,
That's the easiest thing to do.
and see if we're back in time.
Yeah.
And failing that, we'll just set it on fire.
Yeah.
So after a bit of a struggle, we managed to move the chain into what we believe is proper timing now. So we are going to test that theory by giving it a quick compression test, and hopefully we see a better number here. So hit it, Nick. Whoa. That wasn't ideal. All right, take two. Hit it, Nick.
No, sir. Well, Dave has abandoned us, Nick. He's
Yep.
gone. He just said, you know what, I can't handle this, and took off. And it's me and you here now, and we've been kind of racking our brains trying to figure out what we have going on. And we've consulted some experts, and what have they told us? Explain to the audience here what we've got.
So it seems like this chain is probably too old and it's stretched a bunch, and we can't get it to line up properly. So it's out of phase too much. So it looks like Pete's gonna have to go back and do a new chain.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to take this all apart again and actually take the front cover off and replace the chain. I think I'm gonna replace the guides as well, and then we may have everything good. We'll see. And truthfully, the other thing that Rui from K-Tune mentioned is to time this 100% properly, to know that you're fully on time, you do need to take that front cover off, right? And I think that's where we're gonna have to kind of wrap it, and we'll be back in, I'm sure, a couple of days or maybe a week once we get this sorted and figured out. I guess it's how quickly we can get the parts, and it will be another dyno session, and this time hopefully we'll bring you a car that's running properly, not 120 compression. So
Yeah, definitely.
sorry, Nick,
No
but
problem.
thank you
It
for
is
the
what it
time.
is.
Yeah, and we will be back soon.
Sounds good. I look forward to it.